Later in this vlog, we play a massive $3,000 pot against ONTILT Nick. Somebody scoops the other, but somehow we both end up on tilt. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's jump into the vlog. Welcome back, folks. Currently, the bankroll sits at $16,898. We're getting close to 20K. We started at 10K, so things are looking up, and hopefully we can book ourselves a big win in today's episode because we're heading to TCH Dallas right now to play a live stream with Corey Eyring and ONTILT Poker. Hopefully there's some other donkeys or whales at the table, and hopefully we can book ourselves a nice win. The stakes are 5-5. It's a $1,500 max buy-in. I'm sure this is a setup, so it's probably match to stack. There's probably a mandatory strata with non-stop nit games. It's gonna be crazy action. I'll catch you guys there. Let's go. Hi, Eric. Dev. Happy birthday, Dev. Happy birthday. Corey, huge fan, brother.
Hey, I've seen your shorts.
Huge fan. I've seen your shorts.
Fan, oh, thank you.
Supposed to be 5-5. Now it's 5-10. Supposed to be no match to stack. It's probably match to stack.
Mallory's right behind you.
Set up. I'll do it the exact same way.
Go get him.
Thank you, sir. All right, in this first hand, we look down at pocket 8 on the button. Eric opens the $30 from the +1. Benham calls in the cutoff, and I call on the button, and so does our villain in the big blind. So we're 4 ways to a mediocre flop, I guess. It comes 8-4-6 rainbow. So we just flop top set. That's pretty good. Action checks for the cutoff, who bets $65. Other than a flop straight, we should pretty much have every other hand crushed. So I don't think there's any sense raising here. I just call, and that brings in the big blind player as well. So we're 3 ways to a turn. Comes the king of spades, which shouldn't have really changed much. So when action checks to me, I'm going to bet out, and I decide on the sizing of $225, a little over 2/3 the size of the pot. I think I like my sizing. Could have probably went a little bit bigger, but I don't hate my bet. And what ends up happening is the big blind folds and the cutoff calls. So we're hoping for a brick on the river, and that's what we kind of get. It's a 10 of diamonds, so obviously 9-7 gets there. But when my opponent checks, I think it would just be way too nitty to check back here. I mean, I could because I do identify as a semi-nit, but I'm not going to be nitty here. I bet out for $350 and get called by second pair. So clearly Benham has not played with us and doesn't realize that I'm a nit. On to the next hand. In the second hand, we look down at ace-jack offsuit from under the gun. Now, real quick, the nit game is on for $50 a person. So if you lose, you got to pay $400, and obviously I'm one of the last players left. So when I look down at ace-jack offsuit under the gun, I open at $35. The +1 cutoff and button, who is the other remaining player with his button, they all call. So we are 4 ways to a flop. It comes king, queen, 4, 2 spades. So we got ourselves a straight draw and a backdoor nut flush draw. So I decided to c-bet for $50 on this flop. Amy calls in the +1. Eric folds in Deku. I believe that's how you say your name. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. He calls on the button. So we're 3 ways to a turn. It's the 7 of hearts. Not the turn card we were hoping for. I think if it was the 7 of spades, I would continue to bet. But when we don't pick up the additional flush draw, I'm going to check here. Amy checks, and now Deku decides to bet $140. And if you guys think I'm about to be an omega nit and give up on this hand, please unsubscribe, go report on my social pages, because I'm not that nitty. Obviously, I'm going for check raise here. We can wrap a lot of flushes if a spade peels off on the river, and we should have all the strongest hands here when we raise pre-flop. So I check raise to $400. Amy folds, and now Deku goes into the tank. I'll reveal his hand right now so y'all can see what he has. He has himself an open ender, and after seeing his hand, I'm expecting him to call, because if he folds, he also loses an additional $400 because of the nit game. And, I mean, he's drawn to the nuts. So he's got some pretty good odds to call here. But thankfully for us, he folds. So happy with that result. Happy with the semi-bluff. And even happier to not have to pay out the $400 to the nit game. Let's go. And that brings us to the hand of the session. We look down at pocket jacks and under the gun. I open at $35. It folds over to Nick in the low jack, and he 3-bets us up to $100. Folds all the way back to me, and Nick could be doing this with 3-8 offsuit, 10-4 offsuit, 4-5 suited, aces, kings. Basically, any 2 cards is what I'm trying to say. So I'm putting in the 4-bet. I 4-bet at $300, and Nick jams for $1,500. I snap call. He says rip it once. So we're off to 1 run out in a $3,000 pot. The flop comes 6, ace, deuce, turn, 6, river, 3. He shows ace, 4 of hearts. Man, you are a good player, brother. Nick would later go on to say that's a natural 4-bet, which I agree with. Ace 4 suited is a natural 4-bet, but he didn't 4-bet me. He 5-bet me. And what hands is a nit like me 4-betting you with that you're not crushed by, brother? Please tell me. Please. Exactly. Shut your mouth. Obviously, I'm not really mad, guys. I was just slightly tilted after this hand because not only did I lose a massive pot, but I also had to pay out the Nick game for $400. So that was fun. Thank you, Nick, for the suck out. You're trash. Just kidding. On to the next hand. So now we're stuck a bunch, and we look down at Ace King of Spades. So I guess it's time to go home. We're in the +1. I open it to $90 because the $20 straddle was on, and I misclicked. I meant to make it $65, but it doesn't matter because Blake calls in the cutoff. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Isn't that Nick's seat? What happened to Nick? And I'll tell you guys exactly what happened to Nick. Nick, about 20 minutes after taking my stack, decides to donate all of my chips over to Amy with pocket jacks against pocket kings. So Nick's out of there. And now we're going heads up to a flop against Blake, which comes pretty good. It comes deuce, 9, ace, 2 clubs. So we flop top pair. I continue for $75 and Blake calls. The turn is the king of hearts, which is probably the best turn card in the deck for us. Now the question is, do we check or keep on betting? And I think we got to keep betting and charge all those flush draws. I bet out again, this time for $300. And now Blake raises me to $700. I mean, if he has a set, he has a set, and I guess I'm going home. So I jam for my remaining $840. Not much more for him to call, but he folds Queen 4 offsuit. So I don't know what to say about that, except for you're my hero, Blake, and I wish every hand went like this. We have clawed our way back to even at this point, which is awesome, but I'm here to book a win and get this bankroll to $100,000. So when I look down at 6-4 of hearts and the low jack, I open it up to $30. And then Blake on the button 3-bets me to $80. It folds back to me, and after that last hand, I'm not going anywhere. I call. We're heads up to a flop. It comes Queen 3-4 rainbow. So we flop ourselves second pair, which might be good. So I check, and Blake checks it back. That's great news. We're off to a turn. It's the 8 of diamonds. This card should favor me, and after he checks the flop, we might have the best hand, like I said. So I bet out for $80, and he calls. Okay, we're off to a river. It's a deuce of hearts. It's essentially a brick, and I don't see much point in betting here. So I check, and now Blake bets out for $175. I did put him on an ace high holding on the turn, and I honestly feel like I have the best hand, but I figured if he was going to bluff, he'd go really, really big. This $175 bet feels like straight value. But if you think about it, what hands is he really going to be betting for value here besides a top pair holding? If he has a middling pocket pair, I would expect him to check and just take it to showdown. So when he bets out, he's representing the queen. And based off the way he's played this hand, I just cannot give him credit for a queen here. So I flick in the call. He shows ace-9 offsuit for ace-high, which means we're taking down a $675 pot. Yes, the graphics are wrong. It was a $675 pot, and it's going our way. So we are on to the final hand of the session. In the last hand of the session, we are ending it exactly how we started it, with pocket eights in the big blind. Let's see if we can't replicate what happened in the first hand. Action starts with a raise from Eric in the hijack to $30. Miguel calls on the button, and I call as well in the big blind. So we're 3 ways to a flop. It comes 4-3-3. 2 diamonds, which is a pretty good flop for these pocket eights. I check, and Eric continues for $50. Miguel calls, and I think a check raise makes some sense in this spot. I really want to see where I'm at and take control of the pot. So I check raise to $150, and only Eric calls. So we're heads up to a mediocre turn. Comes the 8 of spades, so we just turn top boat. Nothing crazy here. I bet for $200, which is clearly for value. Eric calls, so he probably just has diamonds. We're off to a river. It's a 7 of diamonds, which is pretty much the best possible card because now we're getting paid off by all Eric's flushes. Now, I typically go really, really big in this spot, but Eric's a good player and is capable of folding a flush because he knows I'm pretty big nit. So I decided on a sizing of $475, and Eric snap calls with his king high flush, which means we're taking out a nearly $1,800 pots in the session. Easy game. That is it for this vlog. Here are the results. In the game for $2,500, out of the game for $3,440. That's a profit of $940. It was almost really, really bad, but we clawed our way back and booked ourselves a nice win. So that takes the bankroll to $17,838. We're closing in on that 20K mark. In the next vlog, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been kind of shot taking and it's gone pretty well, but could very easily go the other way really quickly. So I think it'd probably be smart for me to hop back into some 1-2 streets or some regular 2-5 games and build the bankroll that way. But I don't know what you guys would prefer to see. So drop a comment and let me know. Do you guys want to see me continue to shot take and play these bigger games, or get back into the 1-2 and 2-5 streets and build our bankroll that way? Let me know in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.